Hello, I'm KNKX Jazz Ambassador Abe Beeson. Welcome one and all to an exclusive, socially distant live studio session performance with the Kareem Kandi World Orchestra. Kareem is a longtime, very good friend of the station, having played in our studios at least 3 times, performing for station events and many other occasions. For 25 years, he's become a Tacoma jazz institution, playing, composing, teaching, and building a fantastic jazz community in and around Puget Sound. Even during the pandemic, Kareem has been working hard to stay connected to the Northwest jazz scene with a series of free live streaming concerts and interviews over the past several months. Kareem even interviewed KNKX retiree Dick Stein recently. Today, we are treated to a fantastic lineup with Kareem playing saxophone and piano, Greg Feingold and Stefan Schatz on bass and drums, and young singing sensation Alicia Baggett. Start your clapping at home for the Kareem Kandi World Orchestra.
Sometimes I'm happy, sometimes I'm blue. My disposition depends on you. I never mind the rain in the sky. It's all the sun in my eyes. Sometimes I love you, sometimes I hate you. But when I hate you, it's 'cause I love you. That's how I am, but what can I do? I'm happy when I'm with you. Sometimes I'm blue. My disposition depends on you. I never mind the rain in the sky. It's all the sun in my eyes. Sometimes I love you, sometimes I hate you. But when I hate you, it's 'cause I love you. That's how I am, but what can I do? I'm happy when I'm happy when I'm happy when I'm with you. Thank you.
All right, how about it for Alicia Baggett, ladies and gentlemen? Alasia, I'm very proud of her. She's an alumni from Tacoma School of the Arts, and I was had the very good fortune of helping her learn music for a couple years, and she didn't need my help, as you can clearly see, but she's doing great, and she's off to the Berklee School of Music in Boston, starting in August, I believe, heading out there. So we're very proud of her, and she'll be joining us for the remainder of the performances here. We're going to continue on. It's a pleasure for us to be here. I'm joined by Stefan Schatz on the drums, Greg Feingold on the bass, and yeah, we're going to play some music and then chat with Abe. So we're going to move on here with a brand new piece entitled Forward. Hope you enjoy it.
Kareem Kandi World Orchestra streaming into your home on KNKX.org or however we're getting this to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Kareem, it's great to see you with Greg Feingold, Stefan Schatz, and Alacia Baggett. Wow, Alacia's got something special. Thank you so much for bringing her along.
Yes, she does. She's a tremendous talent, and she was very talented before I started working with her, and it's been a pleasure watching her grow and develop even further. She's a great songwriter, too, as many of you will hear in the near future.
Excellent. I can't wait to bring her into the studios eventually. Now, Kareem, I know this topic is, as the old jazz folks say, a bit of a moldy peach, but I got to ask, how have you been handling the pandemic? What has been your process?
Well, I don't know. Survive, I guess. I mean, me and my family, we're as stressed as everybody else right now, given everything. But we're okay. We're healthy. We're happy. We're making it through. And I guess there's something to be said for that. So, I mean, I could complain, but it's not going to help anything. So we're just going to keep doing the best and making the best of the situation as much as we can.
Now, I know as jazz musicians, you know how to improvise, and it's taken a lot of that during the pandemic. And I wonder if you could talk about things that you've been working on, actually lessons that you've learned during the pandemic that you think you'll carry on into the after times.
Well, I don't know. I mean, just try to be kind to yourself and kind to other people, because we're all looking at this through different lenses, and it's so easy to get wrapped up in seeing what you see on TV and the news media. It's just try and inform, but get out and interact with other people, and just be patient with yourself and them. I mean, that's the best we all can do. I mean, that's one of the biggest lessons. You could say X, Y, or Z, but at the end of the day, we all have to get through this life together and work it out. And none of us wants to deal with any of this nonsense that we're seeing through screens. So it's just be a good human being. I mean, what is it? The golden rule: treat other people how you want to be treated. Just try to do that as much as possible.
Yeah, I think the pandemic has just made everything that's bad a little bit worse. And there have been some rough times in our country over the last year. And it's kind of fractured, really intense society right now. And I'm always worried about how stress affects my creative, artistic friends. I wonder if you could talk about whether stress makes it more difficult to perform, or whether that performance really kind of helps you deal with that stress.
Sure. Well, I'm stressed right now. I mean, prior to doing this, we were making sure all the connection feeds and everything was working, and you always want to do a good job. But I think when things first started happening, and we were like, what's going on, sheltering in place hit, honestly, most of my sources for generating income were like frozen, and that's as a figurehead of a family of 4 people, 2 small kids. I mean, that's terrifying, So we managed to make things work, and things are fine. I'm not trying to paint a bleak picture, but definitely a lot of stress. And so probably for 3 months, I didn't do any playing or any writing or anything. And thank God for our organization, because that's given me an outlet to be able to perform and to write and have a creative outlet. And more, I think a lot of the things that I'm writing is because out of fear, because we have to produce stuff every single week. It's like you want to show up and have stuff, so it's like out of necessity having to come up with writing new songs, and and I'm spending most of my time composing, not really playing. So it's like I'm writing all week long, and then we come and we look at these tunes that we've never looked at before, and my playing is super rusty. So I'm keenly aware of that. It's like, oh, we're going to show to the world our rusty chops and brand new tunes that we've never played before. No stress.
Now, Kareem, I keep thinking during this pandemic about Sonny Rollins' kind of self-imposed lockdown he put himself in around 1960, where he just shed. He just went to Williamsburg and played and played and played. And I wonder if you can find any upsides of being locked down, if you've been able to shed, or anything else about the lockdown that's been a positive for you.
Yeah, well, one thing to remember about Sonny Rollins in the 1960s was Spotify wasn't around, and you could actually make a good living being a musician. But anyways, positive things I think about this, watching, just keeping an eye on tabs on what everybody's doing. And a lot of my friends and fellow musicians, and not just that, everyone's doing amazing things, finding ways to make lemonade out of lemons. You see all these creative things, like people that really know technology. I don't, but all my friends are doing all these different, like Kate Olsen, for example, does these great quartet things where she's an entire quartet by herself. Or, Tarek is doing a lot of, Abazid is doing a lot of great information about why Spotify is terrible. Just seeing people doing great, Joe Doria, or Andy Coe, or a lot of these clubs, things that they're doing to kind of, keep live streaming happening, or just ways to make things happen and keep things going despite all the challenges that we're all up against. And it's amazing to see all these creative people finding ways to keep themselves motivated, and whether they realize it or not, I mean, it's helpful to other people, and it's like, oh yeah, it pushes you to want to do things as well.
Kareem, I have really enjoyed your series of live socially distanced virtual performances, and we'll talk about that in our next conversation. But I want to get back into the music. What are you going to play for us next?
Sure. I think the next piece we're going to play, we're going to have Alasia join us, and this is going to be September in the Rain. Hope you enjoy it. Please welcome back Alasia Baggett.
With Kareem Kandi, Greg Feingold, and Stefan Schatz. Great to see you guys.
How about it for Alasia Baggett?
Hey, Kareem, make sure that microphone is turned on. We didn't hear Alasia in that last song.
Oh, no. Well, she sounded great. I promise. We will make sure. We're going to continue on now with another original composition, and this one's entitled Quiet Thoughts. Hope you like it.
Can I go to fresh A when you get the chance?
right, all right. Kareem Kandi World Orchestra streaming live here at KNKX with Greg Feingold and Stefan Schatz at the bass and drums. Wonderful piece there from the band. Kareem, as I said in last conversation, I've really enjoyed your series of live virtual performances with interviews. Can you tell us about the origins of this series?
Is this thing on? Yes, I'd be happy to. So basically, there's a program down in Tacoma called Tacoma Creates, and it funds the arts. And we were one of the organizations that was allotted funding to help support programming throughout the year. And we had mapped out an entire year of going in and working with schools, school programs, high schools, middle schools, concerts, concert series, all throughout the year. And when COVID hit, all of that basically went by the wayside, and we were asked, well, can we adapt our programming to do online stuff? And of course, the funding was impacted a little bit, but I said, yeah, sure. So basically, most of the programming that we were able to do prior to COVID, with exception of going into schools and working with the kids in person, we've been able to adapt online. And so we basically started in June, with the series. So we have, with the funding, we're able to do like one broadcast of like a concert every single week, and then one interview every single week. And we still do our weekly classes every single week as well. So it began, that's how it began without going too much in depth here. But yeah, that was the beginnings of it.
I would love to talk to you about the art of interviewing, because I think you're pretty good at it. I wonder, just in reference to how we're doing our interview today, do you tell subjects ahead of time what questions you'll be asking them? For instance, I kind of went over some of the topics, but I didn't go into question by question. Do you get into that?
Not really. The only thing I really ask the people I'm going to interview is if there's anything they don't want me to talk about or discuss. So I don't want to like get any sore subjects. But and usually, I mean, for me, there's a really great book if you're a musician and you haven't checked it out. It's called, I think it's Notes and Tones by Art Taylor. Art Taylor was a very tremendous drummer and influence on many drummers. And the book is basically just him as a musician, as a great musician, interviewing his friends who happen to be like Dexter Gordon and Miles Davis and Art Blakey. And so I kind of try to not do that exactly, but basically it's a musician asking a musician. I think I kind of know what musicians and students want to know from other musicians, and I try to ask around that. And then of course with the interviews, they're an hour long, so we can try to do quite a bit, and we try to. And then the last 15 minutes, I always open it up for people that are watching the live stream to ask questions. If they have questions of the guests that we have on, that they're more than welcome to do that. And then also after the fact, because it's a live stream, if they have questions, they can leave a comment, and then myself or the artist will go in and try to answer the comments as well. So I don't really have it's just talking about music and how they got started and what they do and their opinions. And we rarely, I mean, I usually have like a billion questions that I want to ask, and we get through like maybe just the tip of the iceberg before we run out of time. So.
Your interviews really remind me of kind of the scene after a concert, the hang, when musicians are done playing and they're just hanging around, maybe having a drink or a cigarette and just talking about jazz or about music or about life. Are you, or I should say, were you a big after gig hang guy who would just hang around after the show and talk into the wee hours? I mean, you are a father of 2 young children now.
Well, there you go. As a matter of fact, not really, because a lot of times if I was gigging in Seattle or Tacoma for that matter, a lot of times I had to be up early, or particularly since we had kids, maybe prior to kids, pre-children, then maybe, yeah, but not so much now. In fact, some of the people that I've had on that I've known for years, I've been able to sit down for an hour and talk with them, and I've learned stuff that I didn't know, and I've known some of these folks, for 20 some years. So it's been a lot of fun for me too, and I'm learning a lot. So it's been great. And I'm trying not to keep it all towards musician stuff, because I know that there's some people that are just interested in maybe just the interview itself, and they have no idea about the music geekery that we're doing, but talking about. But I try and keep it somewhat relevant. And a lot of times we'll say, oh yeah, like Train or Elvin. I'm like, well, you mean Elvin Jones, right? Because some of the people have no idea who Elvin is, so.
Right. And I kind of leading on to that, has interviewing musicians changed the way you are interviewed? Do you feel like you're answering questions differently because you kind of know how the interviewer wants you to answer?
Not at all. And the older I get, I realize, I know a lot, and the older I get, I realize I don't know a lot, and I talk way too fast. And I always look back at these things like, I shouldn't have said that, or why did I say that? I have no clue what I'm doing. I just try and, same thing when I'm soloing. I just try to make the best of the situation and go for it,
Hey, it's the truth, and it's really you, and that's jazz, man. So great job. And let's get back to some of the music playing that you are better known for. What have you got for us next?
We're going to do another piece here with Alasia with the mic turned on this time. This is an old standard entitled Blue Skies. Blue Skies.
Good one for today. Everyone enjoying the sunshine and enjoying the jazz. Kareem Kandi World Orchestra.
Blue skies smiling at me, nothing but blue skies do I see. Bluebirds singing a song, nothing but bluebirds. Come now on. Never saw the sun shining so bright. Noticing days, oh, alright. Never seen the days hurrying by. When you're in love, my how they fly by. Blue days from now on. Nothing but blue skies. Come along. Blue skies smiling at me, nothing but blue skies do I see. Birds singing a song, nothing but bluebirds all night long. Never saw the sun shining so bright, never saw days going by, never seen the days hurrying by. When you're in love, my how they fly by. Bluebirds singing a song, nothing but blue skies from now on.
How about it for Alasia Baggett, ladies and gentlemen? Hopefully you could hear that just fine. All right, we're going to continue on with another original piece for you now. This is a piece entitled Baklava. At least that's the way I heard it pronounced when I was growing up. My father's half Iraqi, and my mom is Irish, German, and English, and we said baklava. But every time I say that, people say, oh, baklava. So it's like tomato, whatever you want. It's tasty. It's great. It's a pastry from the Middle East. Hope you enjoy baklava. And this is going to feature Stefan on darbuka, which is a Middle Eastern drum here. So we hope you enjoy baklava.
Lava. That's tight. Kareem Kandi and his World Orchestra. Greg Feingold, Stefan Schatz at the bass and drums. Great song, Kareem. Love that one. And I got to say, this has just been such a pleasure for me to enjoy some live jazz. It feels like I'm missing an arm or something because I can't see live music. And I would love to talk about live music for just a couple of minutes because it's coming. It's a light at the end of a long, long tunnel, but it's coming. And I like to get everybody kind of revved up and talk about maybe the best concert you ever saw or the worst concert you ever saw. What would you like to start with?
I would say, I don't know, I'm 42 now, and I've seen a lot of concerts, and your opinions kind of change over the course of your life. But I guess for me, one of the best concerts that I ever saw was it had to be like 1997 because I was a senior at Stadium High School in Tacoma, and Joshua Redman's quartet came to the Pantages in Tacoma, and I didn't know who it was. My neighbors, they had season tickets to the Pantages, and they said, "Hey, we know you play saxophone." I was practicing a lot at the time, a lot of like Charlie Parker stuff and a lot of older stuff. I didn't know any of the modern players really. And so I was like, yeah, okay, I'll go check it out. And I saw the show, and it blew my mind, and all the stuff that they played. They played all the traditional stuff and the really modern stuff and some Ray Charles stuff, just great, great music. And at the time, I didn't know any of these players. It was Joshua Redman, Christian McBride, Brian Blade, and Peter Bernstein. And, these guys are now like jazz gods. And they were at the time, they were, in their prime, the young lions. But that concert was ridiculous for me, and it completely it expanded the way I thought about music. And so, any concert that does that, I think is great in my book. It's a pretty good lineup too.
Yeah, it's a great lineup. And I wonder if you could talk about concerts that you've played that maybe or the best moment you had on stage or the worst moment you had or the strangest gig you ever played. What have you got?
That's a tough one, because I can remember certain things. And some of the best concerts I've done haven't been like jazz gigs. It's been like, a lot of like rock and funk and other things too. Anytime you play in front of a big crowd, that's a lot of fun. I would say most recently, in 2019, we did 2 tours, one to France and one to Japan. And we played in several cities in both countries. And I think one of the really cool things about that was playing for audiences in other countries and not only seeing their appreciation for music, but playing with other great musicians that we might not necessarily speak the same language, but the music was so fun to play and the audiences were so appreciative. So that was a huge eye-opener to see not only how much jazz has traveled the globe and been embraced by their cultures, but how easy it is to play with other musicians that have studied it and how well appreciated it is in other countries. And I'm not talking trash about the U.S. at all because, there is a lot of support for jazz here. But it was really cool to see. And, we had to cancel a tour this last year. We're trying to reschedule it for May to go back to France if we can. But I'd like to do as much of that as possible because we're not only playing but teaching as well and sharing ideas and hearing how the music business works in other countries versus back home. All that stuff is, just the lifestyle of being a musician, hearing how we can do that and exchange ideas with other musicians. I think that's great. And, however we deal with Spotify, I don't know, that's a whole nother whatever. We're going to keep it clean since we're on the air here.
Now, my not so secret weapon in a time when I can't go see shows has been my friends back here. The CD collection, the cassette collection, the record collection over on the other side. And I wonder if you could talk about if you've rediscovered any old recordings or found any records that have been particularly fun for you to enjoy over and over again.
Oh, definitely. I think right now, because of the instrumentation, the normal instrumentation that we have, like bass and drums and saxophone, I'm always going back and checking out a lot of the trio records for inspiration because you kind of, I end up, a lot of the stuff I write feels like, oh, it's the same as this, it's the same as that. So I'm always trying to find different ideas. So, trying to find, the Sonny Rollins trios, going back and checking that out, the pianoless quartets, any group with that configuration. There's some great Joe Henderson stuff like that. There's, I'm just talking about writing for this band right now, but along with just finding things for inspiration, trying to find ways that I can listen to quartet or larger bands and strip things down and do as much as possible with 3 instruments. Because even when clubs come back, let's face it, economics is still rough, and so it's easier to work with a smaller band. So I'm trying to find ways to write for a smaller band and cover as many different musical styles and ways as possible. So I mean, that's not a really great answer to your question, but yes, in conjunction to that, I'm always listening to like all my old jazz great albums, all the Blue Note stuff, all the Prestige stuff, you know, all the masters, because they did so much. The body of work that they left for us to study is massive, and you could listen to something now and study music, and then 5 years later, your ear is in a different place, and you'll hear something different. You know, so I'm constantly going back and listening to things.
If you would like to support the Kareem Kandi World Orchestra, you can do it at kkworldorchestra.org. Follow along with all the things that Kareem has coming up. And also, you can track him down on PayPal and Venmo. All that information coming up on the slideshow. Kareem, we've got time for one more song. I can't wait to see you in a club or a theater or a venue again real soon. But I'll take what I can get. What have you got for us to wrap up?
Sure. This is another newer piece that we've added to the book here. It's called Parker Nation, and it's dedicated to all the saxophonists everywhere because it is definitely in the vein of Charlie Parker, who, if you play the saxophone, you can't really escape that body of work that he left. So we'll leave you with that tune, and we hope you enjoy it. And thank you so much for having us. It's been a pleasure. On behalf of myself and Stefan and Greg, we hope to see you soon. And on behalf of Alasia Baggett, keep an eye out for her because she's heading to Berkeley, and she's already great. She's going to be even greater. So, shout out to the School of the Arts for having such a great program to facilitate all that kind of good stuff and growth and learning. So hope everybody is well, stay safe, and we'll leave you with Parker Nation. Hope you enjoy it.
Thanks, Kareem Kandi World Orchestra, streaming to you via us, KNKX. Thank you very much for listening. Enjoy the finale.
Drums. Drama.
wonderful, 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 wonderful. The Kareem Kandi World Orchestra. Thank you all. Thank you all. Thanks, Kareem. Thanks, Greg Feingold and Stefan Schatz and Alacia Baggett. Thank you so much for being here, Kareem. This is a lot of fun. Can't wait to see you out in the world.
Likewise, likewise. Thank you so much to you and to KNKX and everybody for making this happen, and everybody who's donated and supported the station. You guys are doing great work, and the music community loves you. We need you, and we're so glad you're here to help support all of this. So thank you all so much. It's a group effort, and yeah, stay healthy, stay safe, and as I said, treat everybody how you want to be treated.
Thanks. You too, Kareem. And thanks to the gang here at KNKX on the tech side, Justin Steyer and Parker Blom. On the people side, thanks to Kaisa Lightfoot and Carrie Young. Big thanks to our audience watching today and all of our supporters, the KNKX Leadership Circle members, Lifetime Listener Society members, KNKX partners, Jazz 24 listeners, and Leanna Shepard from Peace Community Center in Tacoma. I'm Abe Beeson. Stay connected at knkx.org.